It's all about Robin Williams, John,
Yes.
and he would have been 70 years old today.
Mind blowing, isn't it, man?
Which is it's hard to believe, John, that
I
he's
always view
been
this
gone,
guy as being like a 40-year-old guy.
7 years he's been gone now. He was 63, wasn't he, when he passed away? But just this is Movie Web's tribute to him, and it just says Robin Williams celebrated by fans worldwide on what would have been his 70th birthday. Fans everywhere are remembering comedy and Hollywood legend Robin Williams on the day the beloved actor would have turned 70 years old. Now, I'm not going to read the article, John, because it's really just to remind ourselves of this great man.
Yeah.
And obviously, you know, I don't want to obviously talk about, you know, his sad passing or anything like that in depth or anything like that. It's tough enough to talk about someone who was one of your idols, one of your heroes growing up. John, I grew up with Mork and Mindy in the late 70s, early 80s. That's my time. That's what I was introduced to, with Robin Williams being a television comedic actor. But it's films that we're going to talk about, I think, because I think that's where you and I are sort of have a mutual understanding and appreciation for the guy.
Stephen, look, just today, I didn't even realise it was his 70th birthday celebration. I was thinking about, I was actually talking about that song, Luck Be a Lady Tonight. And I immediately went to Mrs. Doubtfire. Yeah. And Robin Williams being done up as Mrs. Doubtfire by his cousin, I believe it was.
It's an iconic performance. Yeah. The first performance I saw him in the film was Popeye. Don't know if that was maybe...
Stephen, I fucking was
obsessed with
Popeye, yeah.
Did you not go and visit the village?
I went
in Malta,
we went to Malta or something. I went to the village. I
would have loved to have saw that.
Obsessed with Popeye. So from a very young age...
Thanks to him,
I was a huge fan of this guy. Growing up throughout the 90s, this guy kind of framed my childhood in terms of watching movies. I watched the likes of Flubber, Mrs. Doubtfire.
Flubber was excellent.
Jumanji, Alan Parrish.
Jumanji.
I loved that movie, 94, 95. I think that came out in 95. I'd been about 6. So Stephen, I was the perfect fucking age growing up to watch this guy. I think he did, was it, what was the other one he did? I've actually got his filmography up, so I'm going to look back.
Well, you've got Good Morning Vietnam, which is one of his iconic performances, John. We mentioned Popeye. You talked about Mrs.
Hook,
Doubtfire.
Stephen, fucking obsessed with Hook.
Patch Adams was another one I very much enjoyed.
He was in Fern Gully.
Yep, Fern Gully.
Patty Coda, one of my all-time favourite movies as a kid as well. So you see the point here.
There is one film, John, I don't really want to dwell on it too much, was Bicentennial Man. I didn't really enjoy that film. He wasn't the he was fantastic in the film, but I think the story wasn't my cup of tea. 1 Hour Photo, John, for me is one of his best performances. I think it's still a very underrated movie. Stephen,
man, that's the great thing about what was great about this guy. He was a great comedian. He brought great laughs, and Stephen, I regularly go back and watch interviews he did on the likes of Letterman and stuff like that. Yeah. A complete bag of nerves, laugh a moment, doing hillbilly southern accents, doing Scottish accents. A fucking
he used
incredible.
To do that in Craig Ferguson show,
just an incredible guy off the screen, but on the screen he could really depict real darkness within the human condition.
Was the one he did with Al Pacino, wasn't it? Nolan.
Fucking incredible, Stephen. That's what I'm saying. 1 Hour Photo, Insomnia, movies like that.
Good Will Hunting.
Good Will Hunting. One of the iconic performances. But Stephen, I look at this guy, man, in the early 90s. Some of the movies weren't great, but as a kid, I just looked through these movies and it framed my childhood. Hook, Fern Gully, Aladdin, Toys. I was obsessed with Toys when I was a little kid. Not a great movie. Mrs. Doubtfire. And then you see the likes of, obviously, Flubber and stuff like that later on. Jumanji, Jack, obsessed with that as well, man. Just so many great movies.
He did a lot of voice work, didn't he? You mentioned Fern Gully there, John.
He played the
Robots,
bat, I think.
Happy Feet.
Did he play the bat?
What was the other one he did? The one with the little guy from Sixth Sense was in it. Artificial Intelligence AI, I think it was called.
Artificial Intelligence.
Yeah, he did that as well, didn't he?
Stephen, look, man, he was just a great man. And as I says to you before we come on, you says you were going to put it in the show. It's probably one of the hardest celebrity deaths, acting deaths that I've actually lived through. Chadwick Boseman came close last year. I actually sucked the fucking oxygen out my body when you text me. I couldn't believe it. Still remember that vividly. I was actually lying in my bed.
We just did the Enter the Dragon review, John. It stands out to me. The moments like that, and it's the same with Robin Williams. Moments like that will always stay with you for the rest of your life.
Just a great man.
I think if you grew up with his work as well, you had that connection. You didn't know the man, but you connected with his work. You enjoyed his work. You know, whether it be comedy, drama, horror in 1 Hour Photo. Just something about the guy. But again then, John, you talk about those interviews, and you know how when you think you can read people, and you can read he's troubled, you know, and
see, I always had that vibe when I was getting older watching him. He had that kind of look about him, but he was bottling up things. He
Yeah.
looked like a guy who had a lot of issues, but that was the brilliance about the guy, Stephen, and brilliance about people of that ilk.
Yeah.
He had his troubles, he had his darkness, he was going through real issues, had demons and stuff
Well,
like that,
John,
drinking, drugs, but he tried to make everyone else's life better.
But
whilst
John,
he
you
was
talked
suffering
about
it.
his condition, and you talked about him working right up to the end as well.
Stephen, yeah, I don't think a lot of people are aware of the fact that it wasn't depression and stuff like that fueled it. It was actually Lewy body dementia. It was a really rare form of dementia the guy had. It was also calcification of the brain.
Yeah.
He was deteriorating quite badly, Stephen, I think, at the end, and that's why obviously he found out about this, and he ultimately just didn't want to live through that horror. And Stephen, you watch the likes of The Father, we have both been touched by dementia, we've seen it with grandparents.
Yeah.
It's a horrendous illness. So I actually respected the guy and his decision to do what he did. Obviously that's not going to be of comfort to his family and stuff like that, but Stephen, I wouldn't want to live through that if it was me. So I actually respect the bravery of the man.
John, you probably find he did it for his family.
Yeah,
because it's the family that hits the most, apparently.
And apparently though, because he was so intelligent, he was such a bright individual, it didn't really get its grips on him as much as it would have other people. Most other people, by that stage, it was that far gone, they wouldn't even be able to speak and stuff like that, Steve. And this guy was fucking acting right up to the end, remembering lines and delivering performances. So I think, again, that's another level to speak about the volume of this guy, man, just what he brought.
John, by nature as well, John, I think, the man never sat still, so having that kind of condition is bad enough. And
sharp as hell, Stephen, a stand-up comedian in parts. Those guys are incredibly quick of mind. They have to be. They can't have dead air or you'd die on the stage. So for a guy to be that sharp and that quick and that witty and that intelligent, to start thinking about losing his faculties and losing things, that'd be completely unacceptable to a guy of that ilk. So just a tragedy all round, Stephen, because he was young. He was only 63. I mean, that's not old these days. That's not even old age. You're not officially of retirement age over here. So it's to lose such a huge personality, an incredible actor, as we say, he done dark roles, he done sort of kid-friendly comedy roles, really multi-talented, multifaceted figure, human being in general, but actor. So it was a huge loss, Stephen. I still remember it to this day. I watch a lot of videos of him all the time, so it was an incredibly sad loss, and it's shocking to see that he'd been 70 today. I didn't actually think of what age he'd be. You think of them as
John, I saw it trending on Twitter, and I think we should speak about it because we are fans of the man. One thing you can take out of it is his body of work will live on forever. And his memory will live on forever through his work.
That's what it's all about, Stephen. Life goes on within you and without you, and what makes you live eternal is what you've done, who you've touched in life, what your actual legacy is.
Behind,
and that guy's got an incredible legacy that will stand the test of time, much like John Lennon, Kurt Cobain, all of these people that left us before probably their time. They've got that legacy that will live eternally. The Beatles will certainly live eternally. So that is your legacy. Never forgotten.